How's it going, everybody? It's your boy, and today, well, we're going to have a little bit of a rant. A little rant about gaming, journalism and the industry, and how continually it deserves all the criticism it gets, and why it's continually going to be fucked until they change their attitudes, and they just change their practices. Now, we've all seen the recent spate of articles that is almost like the spate of articles we got at the beginning of Gamergate, when they basically said that games are dead, gamers don't have to be your audience. Recently, we've seen the escapist of all publications, who during Gamergate were actually one of the better publications, call us out, saying gamers are still dead, y'all, and being very provocative and attacking us. And we see developers and we see stupid publications calling gamers toxic and how they can't improve themselves, they can't improve their games, they can't fix their games, they can't give us good products because gamers are toxic. It's not the fact that these people are pushing horrible products and products that are broken, or putting in microtransactions on $60 or £45 games when they don't need to, or they're cutting out DLC, or cutting, in the case of Deus Ex Mankind Divided, whole games in half, and then selling the first part as a full game when it isn't clearly a full game, keeping other parts of the DLC, and then saying, oh, because we didn't make enough money, now you might not get any Deus Ex for the foreseeable future, so we're going to now just do cash cow Marvel games. Yeah, that is somehow not going to fix itself, not because these game developers must realise eventually when they see their failing profits that these malpractices are the reason. No, it's the gamers, the consumers are the issue because they're toxic. And we constantly hear how gamers are toxic because there's an harassment problem, they're sexist, they're racist. It's their fault that game developers just cannot get out there and talk about these issues because they would just get harassed. They would just be criticised non-stop for the littlest of things. I mean, you saw it in my stream that I had to delete because I fucked up something when I was ending it. The guy from Ubisoft, or was it? Yeah, it was Ubisoft, basically said that they would come out and talk to gamers, but they find gamers toxic and they would get criticised too much and harassed, so they can't do it. Why don't they want to do it? Well, it's like the feminists. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know what they're doing is unethical, and they know that they're pushing defective products. Sometimes they're forcing developers to do it. Other times, I believe developers are willingly doing so they can make more dosh. A lot of people are saying that, developers like Creative Assembly and other developers are being forced to do it, but I don't believe that at this point, considering that Creative Assembly has a monopoly on their type of game compared to other games. What they're doing is tantamount to just throwing the gamers under the bus, the fans under the bus. Yet they're getting excused because Sega owns them, and I think it's both doing it, I believe. Oh no, can't fucking go and talk to us candidly about these issues because of toxicity, when really they don't want to because they're scared that they will be called out and exposed for this, even though we're constantly trying to. But the thing is, they're kind of right in the sense that there is a toxicity, but it's not on most gamers, the people who call out these malpractices for what they truly are. No, it's what V mentions in his videos about gamers. There's a certain subset of gamers. Now, maybe some of them aren't actually gamers, and they're just social justice warriors who are defending who they consider to be progressive developers. Those people who are just pandering to you you never buy those games, social justice warriors. Yeah, so progressive. Yeah, those people exist. The posers who are just in it for the political gain and nothing more. But there's a particular type of gamer who just defend anything and everything developers and publishers do. Be it because they're fans of said developers and publishers, or they're just deluded. And they think that people rightfully calling out anti-consumer practices are whining that they're just being entitled. This is another thing. We're entitled, but that's since changed to toxic. And now we just need to shut up and just not buy the game. There's nothing to complain about. It's not their fault. They've got these rushed deadlines, these schedules. They've got all this pressure and they just can't get it out on time for whatever reason. So they have to release it like that. But it's okay. It can get patched later on. But the thing is, with that I say, well, yeah, I won't buy the games. That doesn't mean I can't call out these bad practices. I mean, firstly, Let's just take a look at the games that are constantly getting pushed back in terms of schedule and getting delayed, and the ones that are released that are coming out as buggy, unplayable messes, especially on the PC. Well, firstly, the developers and the publishers should not be putting themselves in the position in the first place for this to even happen. They should, in theory, be able to release a full game without too many bugs. I know it's impossible to release a game without bugs, but it should be playable. It should be optimized at the very least. This should not be something that should happen later on. Also, they should not be taking out things from the game that they promised and then later patching it in or just never putting it in the first place. And I understand, yeah, sometimes it's impossible to put a feature in a game. Then you be transparent about it. You tell the people, look, the game's changed somewhat. It turns out that this feature we want, we can't code it. Or we don't have enough time. Sorry about that. We'll try and release a patch, or we'll try and work around it. But the problem is, they don't do that in AAA. They may do it in more indie spaces, where they have Kickstarters or GoFundMes, where the consumer is as important as the developers in making the game, in terms of a financial point of view. But AAAs aren't that transparent. They don't want to be transparent because they don't want to be open with their malpractices. It's almost as if, well, they could do that, but they choose not to, because at the end of the day, it's all about making a profit. But the thing is, yeah, I don't mind you making a profit, but at least make a profit where it's ethical and you're releasing good quality games. We don't seem to be having that anymore. I don't see it changing anytime soon unless they do get a serious hit in their profits. If more of this is called out and those gamers that are allowing them to do so, as a minority as they are a loud minority, and most gamers are, to be honest, just silent on the matter. It's actually kind of like the American Civil War. 2/3 of the people are against each other, the rest are all neutral. And I hear libertarian types like Raging Golden Eagle, I love you man, shout out to you, who say that the market will sort it all out, that if a crash was to happen, these people will just, like, go away. There will be, like, dust in the wind, they'll scatter. But I don't believe that. I don't believe that will be the case. One, because they're much bigger than Atari ever was. Two, they've got legions of mindless fans who will defend everything that they do. And let's be honest, most people don't seem to care. They buy the games, whether we like it or not. And I just don't see the market fixing that. Because at the moment, the market is saying, well, yeah, these practices, unethical, but they sell. It's going to take a lot more than the free market to stop this kind of behaviour. And the thing is, I thought Gamergate, I thought this change in the community would help change the industry for the better. And in some ways it has. I wouldn't say in many ways, but it seems like the social justice warriors are truly entrenched and have truly brainwashed these developers in some ways, and the developers have become so corrupt over the years that eventually they've become entrenched themselves in this corruption, in this malpractice. It's the only industry where it's seemingly okay to be nasty to your consumers, to call them names, to do this, that, and the other. When I first started my job, I made mistakes in a customer service way. You don't do that. You can't afford to be horrible or nasty. Sometimes it's just miscommunication, but not in the deliberate way like these people do. How can we just sit here and give them our money when they treat us like shit? They look at us with contempt. It's incredibly annoying. And the thing is, I just can't see how we're going to change that anytime soon. It's going to be such a long, arduous process that anything could happen between them. I don't see them changing their attitudes while they're making loads and loads of money and they continue to outperform Hollywood and books and every kind of media and artistic form you could possibly imagine. Because I have a feeling that this kind of attitude has been prevalent for years and years and years, but only recently have they decided to be more open about it because social justice warriors and fanboys and people who just make excuses for this type of behaviour have allowed them to do so. I mean, in many ways, this has probably maybe always been the case. Maybe not in the 80s or the 90s, but certainly in the 2000s, and especially in this decade. I mean, think about it. At this point, we kind of know that the games journalists are just a mouthpiece, to some extent anyway, for the industry. They are all intertwined, they are incestuous, and they scratch each other's backs. That's what they do. Maybe that was because of the right-wing attack years and years ago, when people like Jack Thompson were the ideologues we had to face. Maybe that's what's caused gaming journalism to be so crony and become in bed with the industry when they should be keeping their professional distance. That's just me speculating. We're going to have to seriously create our own websites like Super Nerdland, like Tech Raptor, although apparently even they have been getting in on that recently, apparently. One Angry Gamer, the GG, anything. We have to start making our own websites to counteract the established media, or we turn to YouTubers. And as you've seen in the stream, on that article that I showed from One Angry Gamer, they don't like the YouTubers, because the YouTubers are the ones that are clued in, who have the people on their side. The people turn to them, because the people know that Kotaku, Polygon, Rock Paper Shotgun, all those other stupid publications, they're not telling them the whole truth. They know that IGN is in bed with the industry and giving them 10 out of 10s because they were given a lovely little meeting and some tea and biscuits. Or in the case with Konami, they were literally spied over and basically could not play the game on their own in this little workshop type thing, wasn't it? And then next thing you know, this flawed as fuck game without any semblance of a coherent story, with microtransactions and other things like that, gets 10 out of 10s when it isn't. It's barely a 4 in my opinion. And I say that as someone who initially enjoyed it and couldn't stop playing it, but I'll be honest, when I was playing the game, I was grieving for a dead relative. So as soon as my grieving process was over and I could reflect on the game, and I realised, where's the ending? Why am I just playing the same levels again and again? Did I realise how bad it was and I'd been duped? Anyway, that's just a side there. You know what I'm like. There's no future in sight at the moment. All we can really do is trust and support the developers that aren't anti-gamer, that aren't anti-consumer, who continually provide us with excellent quality service, and ignore the ones who do the exact opposite of that. We continually try to stop using sites like Kotaku and IGN, and instead create our own media or our own platforms, or yes, even use VidMe, YouTube, what have you, to make gaming content or gaming commentaries or reviews, what have you. That's the only way we're going to deal with them. But then there's the prospect of us becoming the enemy that we hate. And as we've seen with the games media and the industry, they've become the enemy they hate. They've become the moralizers. They've become the anti-consumers that probably the gaming industry thinks Hollywood is like. Because Hollywood is like that at this point. But then again, they've been like that for decades. The difference is, they have had far more of a distance between them and the audience than the gamers do, and the gaming developers and publishers do. And that kind of hasn't changed really that much for hundreds of years. But that's a reflection of where the two mediums basically developed. Gaming started in, well, you can argue had its roots in the 60s, and then it truly bore fruit in the 70s and 80s. So it's a time where people are closer together, as film started in the 1890s, where people were much more distant because of technology. But anyway, I'm going to end it there. I think I've held your time for long enough, guys. It's been your boy, and I'll see you later.